Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Greg Bassey, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper, and today we have one of those people in our community who's making a difference, who I kind of have to admit that I admire, because I've admired his dad for so long, because he's got great ideas, and this guy actually has ideas as well. Brad Gillis.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Brad.
Thank you.
Now, you and your partner, Joey Gilkerson, are shaking up Salisbury in a lot of ways, and I was one of those people that thought, all right, they've peaked and now they'll go away. But you guys are still making a difference in town. Talk to me about that.
Sure. Not only myself, Chris Gilkerson, and Joey Gilkerson, our fathers laid a really good foundation for us. We're fortunate enough to have the tools and resources at our disposal. Salisbury is our hometown, and there's no better time like in this present to make those investments in our community. We see a lot of opportunity. I think there's the best is yet to come. Our community hasn't gotten past the point of no return. The momentum's there, and we're seizing the moment.
So you know, as a smart guy, you could go anywhere and do anything, but why pick Salisbury?
I went to college at Hawaii Pacific University, graduated in 2004. Chose to go into the real estate market. 2004 it wasn't red hot, it was blue hot, that little top,
right.
It's just super hot market. Couldn't go wrong, and just fell in love with the industry. I'm an independent contractor. I am essentially self-employed, and sure, I mean our area, the Eastern Shore of Maryland, in a lot of ways is a blank canvas. And a person like myself can take that canvas and paint on it, and I've been doing that.
Now, you guys have had visions for some buildings downtown. And one of the things I talk about a lot is that you look at something and it's just going to be too hard to fix it and do it. But you guys have taken some buildings that seem like it would be too hard, or too complicated, too risky, too high profile, and you've made a difference with them. Talk about that a little bit.
It's I guess ingrained in us. You go back to our dads renovating the Thomas R. Young building, which is the old synagogue building, or the old synagogue building, into their office. The Gumby's Galleria, which is now the Gateway building. Woolworths, which is the Plaza Gallery building.
Right.
So we've seen this. We grew up in this in a lot of ways, and we took the opportunity for a few of the properties that we saw some opportunity for, and one being the City of Salisbury's Firehouse, and turning it into a first-class music venue. And I mean, we don't know anything different. It's what we grew up with.
Right. Now, where did that music idea come from for the Firehouse? I mean,
Sure.
That's the last thing I would have thought of. The format that it's in now is not anything that I could have imagined.
The community really spoke up and said, we need a music venue and a place for nonprofits and people of all ages, kids through seniors, to gather and listen to music, have events. It wasn't our idea. It began to kind of resonate in the downtown and peripheral community. It's not a catering hall. It's not something that is replicated anywhere else within probably a 30-mile plus radius. So we're fortunate enough to have the opportunity to be on the ground floor of a music community in Salisbury, Maryland. So it's very much in its infant stages, and is going to take some time to really build some momentum and build a strong following.
Right.
So hopefully we're witnessing history.
Right. Well, just last week, I rode by there. It was probably 8 o'clock. I forget what day of the week it was, but it was a cool evening. The doors were all open. The food cart is there. The truck is there.
Right.
People are circulating around within that outdoor area and the indoor area. The band, you could hear the band all through downtown.
Yeah.
Which is fine because no one really is living downtown like that. It's not like you're in a residential neighborhood
Sure.
where it's going to cause trouble. and it just had a great vibe. It made you think, wow, this something cool is going on in Salisbury.
Yeah, every event's trial and error. And if anyone in the community has a thought on what type of an event we should do, we're well open to it. We've done hard rock, we've done country, we've done dueling pianos.
Right.
We have an Irish band on Friday. So it really is trial and error right now, and so we're starting to figure out what's resonating with the community. I mean, even we had a drag show one night, and that was a hit. I mean, that was the last thing I thought was going to be a hit.
Right.
And it's the things that you think about or don't think about that are hits. We really saw this as a kind of an aspiring country thing.
Right.
And that's not necessarily turned out the same way. So it's trial and error. And if anyone has any thoughts that they want to put an event on,
right,
we're open to suggestions.
Right. I've always thought that building was sort of a key moment in the direction that Salisbury is going to head, because the council for a long time let it sit there idle because they wanted more money for it. And the people who had ideas for it, the visions couldn't quite match.
Yeah.
And then you guys got it, and people were like, oh, they bought it for a song. But you invested so much money into it. How much money did you have to put in that building?
Sure. Well, just think about it. You take a garage and turn it into an assembly use. So in our construction development world, the fire marshal and building inspections have so much to do with and dictate what we do. So we took a garage and you made it an assembly space. That is the complete polar opposite of uses. So probably, I mean, in excess of nearly $1 million probably is what is invested there.
Right.
There's still the second floor, which is available for lease, for potentially an office.
Just office space up there.
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, we've had a lot of interest in it. Haven't found the right tenant mix yet, but that space upstairs has so much character. And there's several people out there that want to kind of be a part of that building's story right now.
Right.
So you are right. I mean, it absolutely is kind of a pivotal point in Salisbury's new direction. And hopefully there's more to come. I mean, we're involved in a couple other things downtown that we think are kind of on the cusp of really kind of breaking through the mold. Right. I think Salisbury's we're close to being ready for that.
Yeah, I think that building was an example of people who get it and don't get it. And I was so cynical about it. I was like, whatever they put there is going to fail.
Yeah.
But you guys had a vision.
It's still in the trial and error
right.
phase. I mean,
right.
absolutely.
Nothing's easy.
Yeah. I mean, it takes. I mean, Joey spends a lot of time there, and we're still figuring out what works.
Right.
We're able to partner with an organization called AMP Studios, which, if you've seen how I envision it, is the movie School of Rock. And so there's just, whether it's a 10-year-old or an 18-year-old, they're in there on Monday and Tuesdays all day. Well, maybe not all day during school season, but they're there jamming out.
On a real stage.
On a real stage, and they're practicing, and they're making it happen. And they're our future for this music community in downtown.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
You're a big proponent of what they call infill development.
Sure.
Talk to me about that.
It's the only way to go, especially with the millennial generation and what my generation's looking for in amenities. We want to live, work, and play all within a mile radius. Even less potentially if you live in more of a densely populated community.
So this is the idea: if you're going to build like a new bank branch, rather than go out on a field in Willards and fill in the dirt and build a bank branch, it's better to build it in the urban area.
Yeah. Well, even that example cracks me up, because if you look at what Bank of America is doing, you don't even walk in the bank anymore.
Right.
The ATM is your point of contact, and they have a teller person sitting right there.
Right.
Infill development is the only way to go. So if we're going to want to preserve our farmland, if we're going to preserve our open spaces, we have to identify ways to both redevelop the buildings that are existing and repurpose them, and use that existing infrastructure, the roads, the water, the sewer, the internet, the cable, you name it. It's all right there, and that's our future. And if we continue to sprawl, then it's not going to. My son is not going to have anything left, if you will.
Right. So, but that requires the vision of taking existing property and either rehabbing it or.
Yeah, I mean, the saying, they don't build them like they used to.
Right.
Like the firehouse is a perfect example of that. There's 4 or 5 courses of brick, that wall. So when we built that, when we tore down and then opened up 3 more garage doors in that building, there's 4 courses of brick. My house was built in 1920, has 3 courses of brick. I mean, these things are just built to last.
Right.
And they're going to be around for a while, and I think it's up to us to repurpose them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the big high-profile things, and I guess it's probably your dad's company more, the old Feldman's building is being redone.
Absolutely.
And I know they found a lot of interesting things in trying to fix that. One of the person there at the site said, we thought we were buying a building, but really we just bought 3 walls.
Yeah, that's even that building was built in 1890.
Right.
Originally the B.L. Gillis General Store.
Right.
It's got a good history to it.
Right.
It's kind of sat dilapidated for what, 10, 20 years,
or
plus
30.
or minus. Yeah. And so that corner is really going to be a great site for people traveling on Mill Street, Camden, and Carroll Street. It's a 20,000 square foot building. The 3rd floor is Morgan Stanley. The 2nd floor is potentially going to be Gillis Kilkerson. It might be office space. And I got a couple tire kickers that I'm working with actually restaurant and some retail use on the 1st floor.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, the cool thing about that phase of construction is that your potential user begins to knock on the door. They see it, they can envision it, and they say, oh wow, I could put my business there. And so I think that project specifically, we're past the point of people getting it. They now can see it.
Right.
Yeah.
And when Becker Morgan did the warehouse across the street, everyone thought they were crazy.
Yep.
And now it's 25, 30 years later. And it's a beautiful building, and it kind of turned the tide with downtown even back then. And this has turned it again. I think it has.
Well, I mean, if Tom Becker was here, sitting here, I would tell him he's crazy too.
Right.
So he is. Yeah. But that project was is a bookend.
Right.
And just the same thing with Riverview Commons, formerly Feldman's. Even the old ice plant and Evolution.
Right.
And that now we've got our bookends, and now it's time for us to begin to fill it in. Downtowns are not what they used to be. We have this little thing called the internet and this little thing called Amazon.com, and people don't shop like they used to. And so it's more difficult for a boutique store to make it. You really have to differentiate yourself. And it's attractions that are bringing people back downtown. It's bars, restaurants, it's music venues. You throw in some multifamily here and there, and you kind of begin to stir the pot. Makes sense.
Now, you all are a player in the development of the big parking lot downtown.
Yeah, we have a proposal into the city right now. We're in the negotiation phase of that. I feel confident that we're to a point where we're laying the foundation to begin partnering with the city. By no means is it something that we can just run with ourselves. And so we look forward to creating a development that's essentially put on the silver platter for us as developers, even third-party developers and builders, so that they can come in and say, we get it, we see the vision,
right.
We're gonna make it happen.
So that would be a mix of residential and retail.
Yeah, it really is going to be what the market demands. So my job is to see 3 to 6 years in the future.
Right.
And so I have to create that foundation on paper, essentially, not even a physical foundation, for someone to run with it. And if the market demands mixed-use properties, then that's what's going to be built. I can't say for sure what it is going to be specifically, but I'm all over it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I personally would be more excited by residential.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at this is not a terribly good example, but like an Annapolis Town Center.
Sure.
Of course, they have way different population base than us, but
right.
I mean, they have a Target on a 2nd floor, and then they have all of your your impulse retail on the 1st floor.
Right.
And then above that, you have apartments, and so that's the model for town centers. And it just takes a couple major office users or major retail users to kick it off. Multifamily right now is hot, and it's potentially peaking. I mean, again, the millennial generation
right.
doesn't necessarily own a home. They have high student debt. They're very mobile, and they like their freedom. So that leads them to believe, to say, hey, I want to be in a multifamily facility with all the amenities in a great location and not have the anchor associated with a mortgage payment.
Right.
So I don't know when that tide's going to shift, and because they're going to get older and they're going to want their single family home and their picket fence just like everybody else.
Right.
So yeah, I mean it's pretty exciting.
Now, are you guys like the only player at the table on that, or you probably don't want to tell me?
Well, we're publicly in what's called the what is the city calling it? The exclusive negotiation period.
Okay, because there was another developer in early.
Yes.
They got out, then you guys got in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what happened. And I loved the prior plan. I would have loved to have seen that.
Right.
And we didn't even respond the first time, and we thought that there was an opportunity the second time, and we took advantage of it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, developing is what we do. I mean, 60-mile radius plus or minus. I mean, I'm doing a 60,000 square foot building in Camden, Delaware, and for a retail building right now. We're doing a 200,000 square foot facility in Easton. Did a 50,000 square foot one in Millsboro, Delaware. So we're really more of a regional development company, but we seem to get a lot of press just in the local central business district of
Right.
the city of Salisbury.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you were president of the Chamber of Commerce for a year.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a big thing because you were like the youngest president ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I attended the meetings for that year, and the chamber meetings for the first time in my life were fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I have undiagnosed attention deficit disorder.
Well, every time you get up to speak, I go, oh my God, he's going to give another speech. And everybody would laugh at the table. Because we all anticipated what you were going to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you only got one shot at this thing called life. And I like to try to make the best of it as I can. And, the Chamber is a great organization. I was very fortunate. I mean, not 90 plus years of being in existence, and, I didn't wreck the house, and, everything turned out okay. One of the greatest privileges I've ever had, and it just, it was a lot of fun.
Right.
That's a great organization.
But there was a great vibe when you were in charge,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a can-do attitude, which I had never really seen before.
Yeah, I mean the chamber's gone through some changes. It's not your grandfather's chamber anymore. And that was my task of kind of just with the assistance of the executive team, unraveling how to make this thing relevant in 2000 or in the 21st century.
Right.
And I think we're there. I mean, you're always tweaking things here and there. I tend to sometimes get burnt out because I dive in so deep.
Right.
But the chamber is
that's a
alive and well.
You were at every meeting that I went to.
Yeah.
I mean, you always managed to show up at things.
Yeah.
In your role in the chamber to know what was going on.
Yeah, and it's even my wife Kim is now the chair.
Right. She's going to be the president, or
Yeah.
the chairman is the new title. Yeah. She's going to be in charge next year.
So that's pretty interesting. So we got a lot of institutional knowledge between the two of us.
Now, will you tell her how to be in charge?
Absolutely not. No, I will not do that.
Did she tell you how to be in charge?
No, she's really good about time and place.
Right.
Yeah.
But she's quiet and confident.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We make a great team. Really fortunate to have her in my life. She compliments me very well.
Yeah. The thing that always amazes me about the chamber is you can tell the total commitment that the businesses have to the city and how concerned they are about everything and how much they want to network and market with each other and share stuff.
Yeah, the Chamber of Commerce, there's 800 plus members representing 23,000 employees. And it's a 4-star chamber. It's the only 4-star accredited chamber in the state of Maryland.
Right.
So it's got a lot of great accolades to it. And not only does the chamber represent our community, but all the other organizations. I mean, if you really think about it, all those nonprofits or whatever are also members of the chamber. And so it's a great synergy. I felt fortunate to be at that position at that time.
Right.
And John McClellan gave me a lot of crap for being younger than him to get there. So it was
John's
good.
been known to do that.
Yeah. It was a good ride. It was a good ride.
Now, you talk about the picket fence neighborhood kind of thing. That's what you've given yourself. You live that kind of existence now.
Yeah, I made the decision to move on Camden Avenue within the city limits and really immerse myself into city living.
So you're in that Camden, Pinehurst kind of area,
Yeah.
like very nice little area of Salisbury.
Yep.
What's it been like?
It's been great. It's definitely different for sure. We have a postage stamp size lot.
It's bigger than that, but yeah.
Well, yeah. Compared to my neighbor.
Compared to Nistdale's, a place like that, yeah.
I can bike to work with logistics of dog, family, house, all that kind of stuff. It's rare that I can do that. I live right beside Matt Drew.
Right.
So
bikes everywhere.
Right on the bike route.
Yeah.
We go and play at SU, throw the ball with my dog and Jackson, and walk to Rise Up or Starbucks, or run downtown.
Waverly Shopping Center's right there.
Yeah.
Everything you need.
Yeah, I mean, so it's all the amenities are right there, right where we need them. I mean,
not Waverly, Claremont. Claremont Shopping Center.
Yeah. Running, biking, love it. It's all right there.
Right.
Just I find myself guilty, much like you probably do too. Is just you don't use what's at your fingertips.
Right.
And so I struggle with that sometimes.
But did you ever see yourself as a Salisbury neighborhood guy?
I honestly didn't know. And honestly, if you think about it, I'm 33 years old. This is actually my first house. I mean, I've kind of been a nomad ever since, and so it's a great experience. It really is. And I had the guy, former owner Chris Mason, really kept the lawn up very well. And
Chris's lawn was very
So I have a standard to adhere to.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of taking on that responsibility.
And then when Chris fled to Ocean City,
Yeah.
his brother was renting it for a while, and the lawn was falling down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I used to call Chris and let him give him reports on the lawn. I could feel his angst.
Oh yeah, no, he absolutely loved that house. It was.
But I've never called him about how you're doing with the lawn. You're doing okay.
Yeah, make sure you do. Give him crap for sure. So I love. I mean, it's a great place to be.
Yeah. Now, fleeing to Ocean City, your dad fled to Ocean City.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wouldn't say he fled. But
well, I think he would say this, but he says he got kicked out of Salisbury.
Right.
Yeah. I'd go there, but Worcester. That's one of our competitive disadvantages in Wycomico County is that we're 25, 30 minutes away from the Atlantic Ocean.
Right.
And so with affluent people having a mobility, they can go there, and they can drive to work.
Right.
Drive doesn't matter to them. Because it's 30 minutes, 30 miles. Worcester County has the lowest income piggyback tax in the state of Maryland.
So there's an incentive to live down there.
It's a 30% discount on your taxes. I made the decision to pay more in real estate taxes and income taxes by moving to Salisbury.
Right.
And so I'm hoping that my lifestyle will benefit from that.
Right.
And that's it's a competitive disadvantage, but it's also an advantage. If you think about what Worcester County, or excuse me, Town of Ocean City and Wycomico County have done with the softball fields and hotels and synergies. That's first time in history that's been done. Yeah. Between our communities. So we live in a great place, and we have a lot of access to a lot of great amenities.
Right.
And Salisbury in a lot of ways is the hub, and if you choose to go wherever, we're right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I tease about Palmer moving down there, but he was involved in local politics. He was on the city council, and it got pretty intense there. Yeah. Pretty much at the end. There's some little power struggle between the council and the mayor and all that stuff that was going on. Right. Yeah. So I mean, and I'm sure he got frustrated, and Ocean City has certainly a lot of appeal. But he was positioned to possibly be a great political leader here in Salisbury if he chose that. Now, you're here. Mm-hmm. Do you ever have any vision for yourself in that role?
I don't know. Time will tell, of course. I'll never say no at this point in my life anyway. I see my role as working with the politicians right now. Being on my side of the table lends a great compliment. So I'm the doer, if you will, of certain visions and strategies, and I can have the ability, because I'm not on their side of the table, to get those visions completed. So yeah, I mean I think if there was an opportunity that I saw where the people or person that was running wasn't going to fulfill that criteria, then I'd have to have a serious conversation. But I mean, looking at our mayoral candidate and looking at District 2, I think is where I am, Jack Heath.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Jack's a great guy. I got a Jack Heath sign in my yard. I mean, I want to see him win. And so I see no reason to run for city council or even mayor for that matter. I do tease Jake every now and then about how I'm going to run for mayor and not and make it funny. Yeah, so we joke about that.
Well, it keeps him honest.
Yeah.
I mean, because it looks like he might go unchallenged even. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, we got
another week.
6 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So I mean, the news this week is that Mayor Ireton's going to run for city council.
Yeah.
So Jake is the only person in the running for mayor right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And in your District 2, you've got Tim Spees, who's an incumbent, and Jack Heath, who's an incumbent, an appointed incumbent, but still an incumbent. So they're going to have to square off.
Absolutely.
So that could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's 6 months of election time. Yeah. See how many election signs I end up in my yard.
So where do you see the economy going? How's business going to shape up? Are we through this?
We're, from a real estate perspective,
sure.
I mean, commercial real estate trails residential. So, and not only that, from a rural standpoint, we tend to trail the larger metropolitan markets. So, and we never get it as good, but we never get it as bad as well too. So we have a lot of insulation within our region. Interest rates are still historically low.
Amazing, isn't it?
It is mind-boggling how low they are.
Yeah.
We have been in our industry saying that interest rates are going to go up significantly for the past 5 years, and they just haven't. That really drives what we do and the business decisions. As you see interest rates creep up, we're hopeful that you're going to see the same thing happen with lease rates, because if lease rates don't go up, and interest rates go up, then we're at a point where we can't do a deal.
Right.
We can't make that development happen.
Right.
So hopefully they'll correspond. And as those rates go up, unfortunately, it's bad news. It's more expense, but it's also good news because that means the economy is improving. So, you know, we're fortunate enough to be in a location that we are, where we're buffered in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, I think we're in a non-sexy market. I mean, it's 1 to 3% growth a year.
Right.
If you see anything more than that, you should be alarmed. If you see anything less than that, you should be alarmed. But it's steady Eddie, and it's a good market to be in.
Now, your company's name is Development Real Estate Company?
Yeah, so I found a website name called Devreco. Devreco.com, and the Google hits were like nothing, and I was like, this is great. So I'm going to name our company Devreco, and make it just very generic, keep it simple, stupid, and makes for a great email address, and makes for a great website, and it says simply what we do. And so, we're partnering with Sperry Van Ness, so we have a great, three-legged stool with construction, development, and brokerage. And that lends a lot of credibility to clients. So when they come in, they say, I need at least 2,000 square feet. Well, we can take you through the whole process, or I can source you from a third party perspective, just one, where if you want to lease a space here or there. So it's good synergy, works out really well. So
people can go to your website, devreco.com, and learn all about you.
Sure, that. Also bradleygillis.com, devreco.com, svnmiller.com. I mean, I'm hopeful to be pretty accessible. So if they can't find me, something's wrong.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Brad Gillis, another one of those guys in our community getting it done. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent, another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.